The sorcerer put his hands on the desk to get up, but he stopped, cold. Blade, a thin, glowing rapier pressed into the back of his neck, a light silvery sheen emanating from its edge. With a sigh and a creak from his old chair, the sorcerer smiled. "Back again? Not good enough for you." The blade sank into the sorcerer's neck, cracking his stone-like skin. Runes lit up all around the room, and the blade sank deeper, far deeper, too deep. Well, you're back. Or are you here for the first time? If you are, the first video will give you some useful tips on the mechanics of making spells, but this video, this one, will tell you the interesting, complex, diverse nature of powerful spells. So, these are the last notes in the now departed Sir Vigny's notes. He didn't believe in the magical school system. He used it out of necessity, but believed in something else. He believed in his system. His system was useful in calculating the power of spells, and even creating spells. He had created 6 new classifications: utility spells, healing spells, offensive spells, defensive spells, blood magic, sacrificial spells, and vampiric spells. And vampirics were his favourite. So, to start off the list, utility spells. These spells are spells which give negative status effects to other creatures. Healing spells. These are spells which restore hit points. Offensive spells. These are spells which deal damage. Defensive spells. These are spells which increase armor class or even give positive status effects to the caster or the target. Now, for the interesting ones, blood magic. Blood magic is any spell that deals massive amounts of damage and powerful negative side effects, but simultaneously deals damage or negative side effects to the caster. Sacrificial spells. Sacrifice spells are spells that deal damage or penalties or status effects to the caster, but simultaneously give massive bonuses, positive status effects, or even healing to the target. Vampiric spells. These deal both damage and negative side effects, while also giving bonuses and health to the caster. So, if a mage wants to create a blood magic spell, there is one rule of thumb. This is that penalties to the caster count as negative points in the spellcrafting system. The spellcrafting system is explained in further detail in the first video. So, if a mage wants to create a vampiric spell, the rule of thumb for this one is a little bit more complex. A pure vampiric spell has equal negatives to positives. These are much easier to create. Pick a spell level, like 3rd level spells, 4th level spells, it does not matter, and halve the maximum number of points. Then, effectively create 2 spells, one which gives buffs and bonuses, and one which gives penalties and damage, and then you combine them both together and have them activate simultaneously. There are other types of vampiric spells. These are unbalanced vampiric spells. They can either have stronger negative downsides with weaker bonuses, or much more powerful bonuses with weaker attacking offensive capability. To do this sort of spell, get the maximum that you want for a level, for example a 3rd level spell, you can then split it 2/3 and 1/3, and this way you can have two separate parts, one much more powerful and one much weaker, and then combine them and they'll have overall value to be the same. These spells can have some interesting results, to say the least. One idea that springs to mind is a caster, a perfect wizard, who over his lifetime turns evil. This can now become reflected in his spell choices. At low level he takes buff spells and positive utility spells and even healing if he's some form of cleric. Then, as he progresses in the story and becomes corrupted by the evils of the world and the dangerous nature of everything, he slowly takes more and more vampiric spells as he becomes selfish. And this, as his spell slots get higher and more powerful, the level of vampirism also increases, until in the end, at his high level spells from 6 to 9, he is dealing pure necrotic, damaging spells. This is a very, very powerful use of showing character through mechanics. Another great idea is a cleric who only cares for others, and excessively so, and uses so many sacrificial spells and blood magic spells that he almost kills himself, and he has nothing that can heal himself. This is another interesting character-driven ability, and I'm looking around his office now, and I've stumbled across a couple more notes. Here are a few. The Spell Stealer. This is an odd looking spell. It's a spell which, when you cast it, you gain a spell slot back. Here's a completed one. It's a level 2 spell. The spell is a 2nd level necromancy spell, like most vampiric spells are. This spell removes one 1st level slot from the target and gives it to the caster. The caster then takes 1d10 psychic damage. The numbers add up so. The 1st level slot is worth 22 points. Taking a slot is worth 22 points, and gaining a slot is worth 22 points, so this makes a total of 44. 12 more than the average for a 2nd level slot, which is 32. These 12 points are removed by the caster taking damage. Because of the rule of thumb, penalties to the caster are positives. Therefore, you can use them against yourself, balancing out your spells. So in the end, we have 22 plus 22 minus 11. This is an almost perfectly balanced spell. If a spell is off by more than 25% of the average, it generally requires a bit more fiddling and is going to be slightly unbalanced. So, has this video inspired you to create your own spells? Has this given you a couple new ideas, new methods, and possibly even character ideas? If you want to find out some more of the nitty-gritty maths related things in creating a spell, watch the first video again. And again, thanks for watching. Comment any questions you have, and I will do my best to answer them. Thank you very much. Also, a part 3 should be coming out pretty soon.